Lights, camera, action. Here we go again. Welcome back, my friends, as we continue our journey across the high seas of the imagination, deep in inner space, where the neuroscientists are trying to peer in to see what's going on, but not having much luck. And so we continue here, you and me, to try and figure out what's going on using unconventional tools. Artist Journal, November 27th, 2023, broadcasting from the pirate ship of the mind, deep in inner space. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and welcome back. I was having internet problems. Let me tell you, could you imagine getting 45 minutes into this show and having to start again? That is where I am, my friends. That is where I am. So welcome back. We're going to run through it and do what we can. We're going to do what we can in what time we have. And as a matter of fact, let me quickly just make sure that everything is loaded up on my side here. Tricky business. All right, I am using the phone as internet. So here we are, Nicholas Dietrich with another enigmatic pixel artwork. There's always a sense of surveillance if you know Nicholas Dietrich. It's got a bit of an X-Files feel to it. I mean, look at the truck, kind of pull up, and then what looks like some sort of alien sphere moves into this sci-fi building. The truck looks like it's going into an underpass, then comes out the other side, and you realize maybe this is some sort of security edifice of a certain kind. And then you see what looks like water coming across here with these strange sort of objects, almost like a nuclear power plant. I wonder if that's what this is. And look at the reflection. It's kind of got a little bit of a nuclear power plant sort of feel to it, doesn't it? With the water. You know, it kind of reminds you of those images of Fukushima way back. But then you look at this. I mean, this looks like Toronto City Hall almost. So, enigmatic work here from Nicholas Dietrich. I think there were 5 Tezos on primary. Look at in here. And now there are 20 Tezos on secondary. So all sorts of interesting things. And again, if we go to Nicholas Dietrich's page here in a second, yeah, here it is, 20 Tezos on secondary. We'll look at the title quickly, and then we'll go to the page. Passing through this Everglade, the key to the problem could be past and future lives. So very enigmatic. I mean, an Everglade I think of as a swamp in Florida. So, you know, where crocodiles are going to be. Maybe this is the Everglade down here. And the truck zooms away. Very playful, cool work. And I love the kind of like the modern building here done pixel art style, as well. What looks like a church and like some massive bell is what this looks like. So pretty interesting. No real clues in the tags. Here's another one by Nicholas Dietrich. I brought it up because there's always got a bit of a surveillance sort of feel to these enigmatic works here. As you see, there's a little surveillance camera right here. And then this kind of night light, you know, in this unusual composition here. And here's another one. And here you'll see this light come on here in this GIF. The garage. Again, kind of having a sci-fi feeling to them. Or, again, more X-Files than sci-fi, or the X-Files side of sci-fi. Look at these great lines here. And then over here. So, kind of wild, isn't it? And this kind of half robot, and then this dithered road, you know, kind of along the lines of a little bit like Popple, who I also describe as sci-fi pixel art. I mean, different, but has that same sort of enigmatic, strange kind of sci-fi quality. Here is another one, you know, and almost like these pixel art machines. This could almost, I think you could put it in the same exhibition as like a Kareem Safa and a Gogolitis of pixel art machines. Let's go Open System. Cool title. Almost a philosophical title here. And so here are some of Nicholas Dietrich's work on object. Again, unconscious observer. Kind of there's just this sense of being watched in a lot of these kind of residential or city scenes here. Same here. So just a really cool, interesting, ambiguous artist here. And here's a little bit of animation too in this GIF here. So just interesting work. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure we showed this back in August. So very cool. It's Tezos, what an awesome portrait this is. I'm absolutely thrilled about this. This is a picture by my friend Bob, who I need to credit, actually. I will get Bob's full name. I know him as Bob. He took this awesome picture of me, interesting picture of me, and so Eizo was looking for images. So I gave him 3, and he picked this one, and I'm glad he did it. Anyways, I think it looks super awesome. So thrilled to get the Eizo glitched portraiture treatment. I think he's going to mint this out. It's minted. I think it's going to be listed either today or tomorrow. So that is super cool. Looks great. So big shout out to Eizo. And here are some other works by Eizo. Of course, we saw Sky Goodman. I think we saw Max Capacity, Eagle Saka, and Phosphor Operator, at least the physical. Pretty sure we saw, we didn't see Inavare, so I actually brought that up big so that we could see it. And there is Inavare. So another cool portraiture here with just a little bit of color, almost monochromatic, but the color coming through. Just another cool work here, artist on Tezos, edition of 10. And here, I thought this was just quite interesting too. And of course, I follow Eizo on X. I think the reason this happens is because I'll open 90 tabs at a time of X, and I think it's just too much for the browser, so it doesn't load up the follows. Of course, I follow Eizo and all these artists that I show here. My first physical and digital was this piece. Each token, the first physical digital. Each token includes a signed and numbered archival print on Hanamula metallic paper, so professional art paper here. Shipped to you. Only 2 of 5 remain, and I'd love to get them sold before I leave town for the holidays. So these look, I mean, the metallic paper, maybe that's a great idea for these kind of works, because it probably really brings out the color. And I have to say, like, you know, I'm surprised at how well analog video glitch works as a physical. Like, these look pretty good, don't they? And maybe it has to do with sometimes it's elements as simple as the metallic paper, or even the Polaroid was a great idea too, especially for the portraits. So really cool work from Eizo there, and a big thank you. Big thank you to Magician, who picked up Celebrities Raised in Cults for 150 Tezos, part of the Promoted Stories series. Someone was saying this is Winona Ryder, which sounds right to me. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this series a lot. Thank you. Made my Saturday night there. Magician checking my email from Rarible, giving me the notification. Thank you. Also, thank you to everybody who collected this work, Maynad, part of this kind of AI series I've been working on, where it mixes some of my Screen Memories works, and then I edit them. And this was a fun one, and it almost looks like just some dancing at a bacchanal is what that looks like to me. And so thank you everybody who collected. I was quite surprised at how quickly it sold out at 10 minutes. And thank you, Skomra. I think it was Skomra who sent it over to Magician, who put an offer in. So that is awesome too. So super cool scene over here. So I brought this up because we never came back to it last episode. What did Ezra Pound say about antennae? And you see the power here of ChatGPT. Ezra Pound famously referred to artists and poets as the antennae of the race. This human race. This metaphorical expression comes from his critical essays, where he suggested that artists and poets have a heightened sensitivity to their environment and the changes in society. What's interesting about this is, I think we take this for granted to a certain degree today. But what's interesting, I think this is probably a newer idea, maybe a modern idea, that Ezra Pound, and if you don't know Ezra Pound is a very famous modernist poet, and I think he was friends with James Joyce, maybe T.S. Eliot, you know, major kind of figures, literary figures at the early 20th century. So artists and poets are like antennae, able to detect subtle shifts in culture, politics, and human emotion, often before these changes become apparent to their wider population. Through their work, these artists and poets can articulate and communicate these insights, making them prescient observers and commentators of their time. This concept has been influential in understanding the role of art and literature in society, emphasizing the importance of creative expression as a means of reflecting and sometimes predicting social and cultural trends. And what's interesting here is I asked ChatGPT, where did this come from? Like, what essay or poem did this come from? ChatGPT. I mean, you see the power here. You do this on Google. I'm not sure you're going to get such easy answers here. Ezra Pound's famous statement about poets and artists comes from his essay, The ABC of Reading, first published in 1934. This work is a treatise on how to read literature, particularly poetry, and Pound's notoriously difficult, his work, and it includes Pound's opinions on the nature and function of literature. So just an FYI, and then check this out. Is this available online? And then they give you a link. They search Bing. You can access and read the full text of this work on the Internet Archive via this link. And then so I went, and here it is. So how cool is that? You can take it out, and there's the book. So you can take it out for free on Internet Archive. So how cool is that? Going to comments, got some great comments this episode. Last episode, Human Boy, thank you. Thanks again for featuring Decompress in today's episode. Great watch as always, thank you. Paper Doll, I just spent 2 enjoyable hours watching this and the previous episode. Great show, Adrian. Thank you for featuring my work. My pleasure, Paper Doll. And I believe we have another one by you today. Hen Collector. So I think this is the person that wrote that essay that we were discussing about a year ago about collecting on hen. Because I believe that person called themselves Hen Collector. So I was very excited to see Hen Collector leave a comment here. First time comment. Great shows. Thank you. Curious on your thoughts on your process and how you collect. I view myself as very out of sync with traditional art collectors, or even most art collectors in general, which is quite interesting. Hen collectors seeing themselves out of sync because, if I remember right, hen collectors like by far the biggest collector on Tezos, if I'm not mistaken. I don't view myself as an art collector. I kind of view the journey we're on as being a new type of investor, one who invests in creators instead of companies. It's almost like a different kind, like investing in imagination, almost in imaginative enterprises, not necessarily the latest app. Sometimes I buy for the art, sometimes I buy for the method or the process. Sometimes I buy because I can see an artist building a new set of rails and perspectives that I believe could be foundational to some unforeseen future. Fascinating. The infrastructure of old was built on our base layer, the world we see, and people took the time to invest in those various stages of production that made the world we now see. Am I delusional to feel we are doing the same here? In this case, for a world we don't yet fully see. Fascinating. I would say there's an inevitability to a certain degree of that. It's going to be interesting to see how influential this scene is. I mean, again, I've said I have a huge amount of conviction that ultimately a lot of the work we're looking at will stand the test of time, I would argue. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. So if that's the case, then, I mean, I was mentioning this on the war episode in episode 250, I think, that in a sense what we're doing here, I would argue, is no trivial matter. And why is that? Because what is a civilization? What is a civilization based on? And I think you could make the argument that civilizations are often based on values. And part of what values are is what we consider to be beautiful action. And so aesthetics, the sense of what is beautiful and what is beautiful for us in our context of time, it kind of matters. And so if we're starting to push the frontiers of aesthetics and saying, hey, we might even have to a certain degree, to say it's a new aesthetics maybe is overstating the case. But to your point, investing in these new rails of the imagination, I think, or new rivers as we sail here through the sky, I think we don't know how it's going to turn out, but I don't see it as trivial matter. One could argue these are the sorts of things that have more impact than we might realize. So put it this way, I would say I'm very sympathetic so far to everything you're saying. Let's continue. Trading in perspectives, I love it. Trading in dreams, trading in creative visions and breakthroughs, not in physical roads, bridges, or buildings. I love pieces for so many reasons, and the art itself is only one of them. Always enjoy your thoughts, so would love to hear your take. So really, my take is, If Hen Collector is one of the biggest or the biggest collector on Tezos, my take is we're in good company. We're in good company if Hen Collector is thinking along these lines. So, and one could even argue if Hen Collector is, the biggest or one of the biggest collectors on the site, you could argue Hen Collector has already fostered part of the direction that this has gone in, at least in the zone, I was going to say little way or not so little way, by simply funding so much. Because as an artist, when people buy your work, you want to buy more and you're encouraged by it. So quite, as I like to say, it's not necessarily so trivial what we're up to here. And as far as how I collect, it's an interesting question. I mean, I'd say on a kind of reptilian level, I still kind of bring my comic book, trading cards, stamp, like the word that comes in my head, it's obsessively. I collect obsessively. Like, that's why I try not to get too far into it, because once I start collecting, then I just, it becomes this, hoarding of beauty. Where I'm collecting it all together, just like comics, and you want to get the full set and all the, Jack Kirby Supermans from the 70s, put them all together in the best condition possible. So that's the first word I'd say is obsessively, but I'm very sympathetic in a sense, to kind of sum it all up. Another angle on this is, I don't donate to political parties, I buy art. On, the blockchain. And in a weird way, one could argue that is a kind of, it's a very indirect, oblique, much different approach of kind of funding the world that you want to see. But ultimately, I would argue if it's, it is having its own impact, one could argue a lot larger than donating to some political party. Interestingly. So, very, very sympathetic to what you're saying. And ultimately, although I may collect obsessively, I'm very sympathetic that, in a sense, you're kind of funding what you want to see more of, right? I mean, I think a lot of us on some level as collectors, that is part of what we're doing too. We want to see more of this, as well as get the art. But as you say, it's not just about the art. It's about kind of voting a kind of aesthetic values of a certain kind when you buy a work. You're kind of sending a vote in with your wallet. So super interesting, and absolutely thrilled to hear from Hen Collector, who wrote that very detailed essay, if I'm not mistaken, from about a year ago, that we did like half a show on that essay. So anyways, great to hear from you. Scomra, great show. Thank you, Kyle Flemmer. Mech is a force of nature. Indeed. Santiago is a total interesting topics. Thank you, Santiago. I appreciate that, because I know Santiago is a deep thinker, as we learned from the Twitter space just a few weeks ago. I believe that's on Spotify already. And also we heard from Lily Illo. Thank you so much, Pocobelli, for the wonderful show. Really love to tune in each day, and grateful. It is a special thing to have trust in your decisions. So remember the composition, the different kind of composition that Lily Illo kind of made the leap and decided, you know what, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to take this as a gift. So discussing it more, it's a special thing to have trust in your decisions, and some decisions don't visibly out themselves, as do compositional decisions. They're all there for anyone to see, indeed. And it almost becomes a values, right? It's like, what do you value? Because a tricky compositional decision where you take a leap, it's kind of saying, you know what? I don't think this is wrong. I think this is right. And we're in the land of no rules in art, right? So, we're almost back to what we're discussing with Hen Collector to a certain degree. The courage to accept a gift is exactly the key. Not to accept a gift, but a gift is exactly the key. And to train the eye to acknowledge the gift, and then to honor the gift compositionally. The collaborative nature of AI means, to some extent, acknowledging the agency of the tools to make decisions as well, rather than trying to hide the collaborator by seeking perfection or erasing quote-unquote mistakes. I think that is why I never edit out the AI artifacts like hands or feet, because it has always been important to me to acknowledge the partnership there. So fascinating as ever. Exactly. We could take the AI, what I like to call the AI distortions, and we could see those as a form of taking risk and of values, and it's when you take these kind of risks, I'd argue, that you start to create new kinds of art, and or at least like different styles and everything. So let's continue here. I thought this was incredibly interesting. We deal with the tension of digital copies here. We deal with different, remixing, which I like to do. I thought this is a really interesting example of basically Warhol in action. And I thought there's a really brilliant solution here. Because, of course, okay, each one is different. But then Warhol, who's, is very conscious of, like, you're making a product here. As with art, I think Warhol would say. And so ultimately, you're trying to give it as much value as possible as an artist. So here, with this marker, each one is unique. You might have like a same design on each one with different colors, but really emphasizes the work, makes each work different by scribbling probably super fast, and the less thought, the better. Bad painting was kind of celebrated by Warhol in certain kind of works or at certain times. So here, it's almost like, don't worry, like the less thought put into it, the better, and then each one becomes a unique. So just kind of brilliant and helpful, I think, for us. So just to tie the bow on the Rafik Anadol situation, so at first we heard on the 24th here, November 24th, and people don't know that we are now in a beautiful dialogue with Jerry Saltz. Thank you all. So it sounded like a happy ending. So now we're having a beautiful dialogue. Thank you all so much for joining the public dialogue. Wishing everybody practicing in digital space my very best. This is how we grow all together. Future is bright. And Jerry Saltz on November 26th. My job is to look, keep looking, go home, become terrified of writing, deadline approaches, right? My job is to notice things and then say what I noticed. That's it. We don't have to agree. I would actually argue Jerry Saltz's job is more than he has to. I'd argue it's to explain what he's noticing. I would actually, it's not just to say what you noticed. It's to explain what you noticed so that other people can understand. We don't have to agree. I want all artists to be successful. And then to me, it seems like taking another jibe at friendly Rafik, the good, the bad, and the very bad, even mediocrity. So November 26th, I was kind of, there's Rafik trying to make peace. Okay, it's all good, and it's mediocre. So it continues there. The frailty continues over there. Arty Hands. I never want to want early GAN stuff, but 99. I really want to want early GAN stuff. So early AI art. But 99.99% just looks awful, and I'll never display something, quote unquote, because history, even if I think it's important. So what I found interesting about this statement, and Arty Hands is actually going to be on a Twitter space in January, I'm thrilled to say. So that is scheduled in. But at least like Arty Hands, when he's talking about, say, GAN art, he's giving reasons why he doesn't like it. He doesn't like it aesthetically. We didn't get that with Jerry Saltz. He just said it looks like a screensaver and that he doesn't like it. But he didn't say that if he likes the look or not. Like at least Arty Hands says it doesn't, aesthetically, I don't like GAN art. And I'll never display something because history that, just because it played an important step in AI art, that's not a good enough reason for us to think that this is necessarily great art, even if I think it's important. So I find in this kind of quick, almost like a throwaway comment, quick comment from Arty Hands, there's more meat, more substance in this comment than in what we're seeing in the debate between Rafik and Jerry, I would argue. This was just kind of funny. Obsessed with the new quote-unquote make it more trend on ChatGPT, you generate an image of something and then keep asking for it to be quote-unquote to be more. For example, spicy ramen getting progressively spicier. So this is pretty funny. I guess it was from Reddit. So here's the spicy ramen. And then it gets spicier. That looks pretty darn spicy. And then it gets spicier. And then the sun is getting involved here, which is totally hilarious. So what I like about this, I think it gives us a window into how AI thinks, right? And it's pretty basic, I think. but it's just association. Sun is hot. How do we make this hotter? We bring in the sun, and then whatever this thing is, lava. I just thought that was funny. Piero, people of Tez. Tezos is a place where artists can experiment and gain a loyal following. Indeed, minting is practically free, indeed, so we welcome people from all socioeconomic backgrounds. Indeed, a very inclusive blockchain. At the moment, it's a platform to leapfrog into other chains. I'm trying to change that. Tezos is where art belongs. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, I think if artists are starting at Tezos and then like I'm 100% for multi-chain because from the artist's perspective, I think you have to diversify because otherwise, like the beauty of blockchain is decentralization where you're not, worrying about, oh, is the founder of Tezos going to shut it down or is something going to happen? Is the Ethereum Foundation all of a sudden, going to be attacked by the SEC? So I'm a big fan of resilience and decentralization, so actually of being multi-chain, as well as because collectors are on different chains. However, if you're an artist and then you start on Tezos and then you ignore it after, let's say, you get some success on like ETH, let's say, or Solana, I would just say you're leaving a bunch of money on the table because there's a lot of money to be made on Tezos. It's just a different style of, it's more editions, right? It's more, and I appreciate actually, Kyle Flemmer actually commented on the MENAD work that I put out, saying, I'm glad it was accessible, the price. And that was actually part of what I was thinking. I was like, let's make something like cheaper, make it a higher edition. And then it's not just about whoever has 150 Tezos. And there's something nice in that. And it's a different almost market too. It's a different like price range, right? So that's an opportunity from a business perspective, as well as just getting your art out there. It's good if you're in other collections, etc. And it's fun. And then people can collect your work. So I think anybody who's kind of leaving Tezos, I would say they're just leaving money on the table, is how I'd describe that. I'm trying to change that. Tezos is where art belongs. So maybe there's a slight, I would say Tezos, art belongs on Tezos is how I would put it, but also on other chains too, including Bitcoin. I mean, which to me is the most resilient of all the blockchains. So maybe slight disagreement in the end there, but ultimately, I wouldn't leave Tezos behind. It's a fabulous it's got a very robust market. Continuing on, Cream Safa, artificial moon on display in the streets of Bilbao. As part of, I call it Bilboa because my friend got robbed there, but all to say, as part of the Bibliotecan International Digital Art Festival. Anyways, this looks fabulous. I was in a pretty rough area in Bilbao about 1.5 years ago. My friend's phone got robbed, and rough night. Everybody was okay though at the end of it. So all to say, what I particularly love. So of course it's great to see. It's great to see Cream Safa's work in public like this. Look at how great it looks. But what else is interesting is this violet light. Like that looks fabulous. That really adds a lot to the whole experience, doesn't it? So just kind of interesting there. Also, Saiko and Shutaya Sukochi. So this is what I wanted to show here is, for some reason I can't make it big here, but you'll see this is a video here. This is like a room with Saiko's work on it. So how cool is that? Okay, like the floor, all the walls, completely immersed in Saiko's work. So just very cool. And there I am. So that is great. So thanks for the shout out. Score, just awesome. Saiko, as well as Shutaya Sukochi. Spiegel's Maskinen, back to our display issue. Look at this, shipping next week. How cool is that? So Spiegel's is doing a lot of physical stuff. Remember, there's the prints, right? And now there's also the screens. So pretty cool. And here is the final day, last day of Spiegel's Maskinen show. And kind of like we were seeing with Cream Safa there with the light, It's kind of interesting because often, the default, they kind of make it look easy. The default is to put on the main lights and put, fluorescent lights everywhere. But look at how much better this looks by just using the light of the screen and having enough screens in there to light the room. It's pretty powerful. And it creates this beautiful atmosphere. Look at that red, right? So really nice show, really nice display, just cool. Continuing on, Boo Boy with some smaller canvases here, which is pretty cool. Almost look like, 30 centimeters, 40 centimeters, 35 centimeters by 35. Good morning. So that's pretty cool from Boo Boy, and also Santiago Ruao with a physical here, which is interesting. We've been looking at Santiago's works on, I think, Zora in the last few days. So just a cool physical. And of course, remember these. We've looked at a few of these. So these are available to mint on Zora. And continuing on, Adam Fuhrer, mixing complementary colors using P5.brush, spectral.js, and a TX6. So this thing down here, is the TX6, as you can see, very lightly, TX6. And so it's a controller. Isn't this wild? It's kind of like video mixing, a little bit. So just controlling parameters, almost like a DJ or a VJ. So just kind of interesting, isn't it? And they slowly start to fall apart, or yeah. Hasdrubal Waffle, Ludgang. So let's see, with the little, is that a Christmas tree there? So interesting work, and of course it looks like Terminator with a couple of clowns on each side, and it looks like that might say money for nothing in some very obscure text here. And a very busy, fun, cool work. And are these like Jim Henson puppets over here? Maybe some sort of GIF. Really interesting, cool work here from Hasdrubal Waffle as usual. Let's just see what happened here, if anything. Let's see. And just transferred over to other accounts, and the offer's coming in for the last one. The fun continues with Hasdrubal Waffle. Sabato with a cool work, Zora drawings on Zora. Poe hates the lava levels, so I think Poe is Sabato's bunny, I think. And here, I guess it's like a video game to get the food and the heart. And there is another little trophy, maybe, or something to attain, capture for Poe, and on its journey to the food. And here is the lava. So Poe has to jump across. And so just a really, really nice piece. Super original concept as usual. Look at how great it looks. Martin Brook, Exit. So once again, using video as a basically in combination with what looks like digital collage. Bit of a video game feeling with this torch right here, isn't there? And even the medieval sort of vibe with the rocks. Beautifully treated fire here, if that's what it is. Exit. That's also kind of has a bit of a video game feel to it. Kind of seems to complement the Bienvenido. Like this looks like an entrance. This looks like an entrance to that exit. Isn't that it? Come in. They seem to pair really well together here. So we looked at this work when this came out in October. So just cool work from Martin Brook. And look at this. Again, we're discussing taking chances compositionally. Like that's what I really like. One of the few things I really like about Martin Brook's work is, to me, I see taking chances and daring to say, yeah, like this, and voting, and saying, I'm going to put it like this, to Lily Illo's point. So just kind of another interesting, bold work here from Martin Brook. Interesting color and everything. Looks like a giraffe. And finally, for those who are searching for physical artwork, so also doing the physical, showing range here with these very beautifully painted works here by Martin Brook. So just kind of enigmatic here in the background with these almost, just geometrical doodles almost. And then here in a floor with plants on it, just interesting. Mumbleboy with a work here. Amusement City Plan. Let's see if this loads up. Here we go. So it continues here with Mumbleboy. Pretty fun work. I don't think there's any volume here. Nope. So just pretty original artist here. And how long is this? And it's basically done. 20-second loop here. And then it starts again. Pretty interesting work. And this is on Object, on Tezos, and 2 have sold for 5 Tezos to Icaro, and then others were transferred. There's Magician, Ile, Santiago, and continuing on, just cool work. Mech.txt, Sunrise for one, Sunset for the other. So interesting choice of minting and combining the DOS work here with the pixel art work over here, and a lot of hearts. And here seems to be maybe, I don't know, the princess and the hearts. And here are some hearts at the top. And all these guys are doing something. And so just an interesting kind of video game-esque feeling to the whole thing. Just really, interesting juxtaposition, isn't it? And unifying it with the color. Pretty interesting work. And then playing with those colors again. And again, look, this quote here, must be what is here, right? And then here we have probably the author, Max Ehrmann, 1927, Desiderata. So again, mech.txt painting with letters and basically applying the WebDing font idea, and every letter is a tile, right? And so you don't know what's going to come out, making these super interesting abstracts. Fascinating, fascinating. Home Sweet Home sinking in a couple of more minutes here. So check this out. Looks like a show is being put together. Loving Type is a small exhibition initiated by mech.txt. And so kind of typographic, kind of has a Christmas feel to it, doesn't it? And then here it looks like a beautiful website. So again, all that practice, running an agency with his partner, you just see look at this. I mean, this looks great. ultradata_gen.exe by Ultra Hacker kind of fit nicely with the mech.txt, didn't it? I've never seen this artist, I don't think. This is a free mint on Zora, and I brought it up big here. Again, kind of has that video game style, and especially that kind of early video game style. So interesting piece here, and then at the top, it's almost like a Winamp type display or UI at the top here with the play and the record and the messages. Cool work. Continuing on, Jacques Disclosure with what looks like some crypto art here. Trust no one. And so I really like that kind of light violet that Jacques Disclosure is using. Bit of digital noise here. A Binance symbol, so being topical. And here we have skull, kind of classic crypto art subject matter. And that's an edition of 15. And that is for 4 Tezos. And here's another one called Propaganda. And there is a cell phone and everything. So just interesting work here from Jacques Disclosure. Interesting title, 5 Tezos on secondary. So I'm pretty cheap on primary, like 3 Tezos. Dan Control goes dithered. So this is on Zora, Dan Zora Control landscape. And so as you can see here, I think I brought it up big. As you can see, taking probably the gradient work and just dithering it, I'm assuming. I don't know. I think he did a landscape like this, right? So pretty interesting there. Element Lee on Zora landscape. Of course, Element Lee does the experimental pixel art work, often using the phone, I think. A pixel art landscape inspired by audio wave and old screen aesthetics. So I guess we see the old screen in this kind of framing device here. This is interesting because, of course, it looks like a lake with a forest, right? But really these are audio waves and just kind of adjusted. So pretty interesting work. Free mint on Zora. Here it is up big. Super cool artist, Element Lee. And here is Byte by Bit on Zora, playing with these. I don't think it was Bannermania. I think it was a different software. Let's actually see. I think it says here, PC 1988 PC Paint 3.1. So yeah, very cool work here from Byte by Bit. Great to see. Pop. And look at that great color. Love this choice of yellow or kind of cream here. Nice choice. Continuing on, Cap'n, who I also follow. I follow all these people. Plants Figments crossover. And so here, doing the plants, with the newer software, because you can see the horizontal pixels here. So that is cool. And is this another one? This looks like an older one, almost distorted a little bit, but maybe that is part of the distortion. Maybe wasn't intentional on that one, but maybe it was. Here's more capping on Zora, Organism 001. And I brought this up big. Look at this. So interesting to see the computer text here be kind of distorted out where you can't really read it, which is super interesting. And this nice static figure, beautifully done. Making these parts here, you know, making the body here, all this kind of pixelation in here, making that look easy. Like really nicely done. Even the little eyes in there. Just cool work. Put out a lot of work this week. I picked this one up, P2P, peer-to-peer file share. I loved the canvas size and like the canvas ratio of this one, and these gorgeous, again, horizontal pixels. These two computers in conversation. Look at how nice and horizontal that is. I picked one of these up because it just felt kind of iconic a little bit. You know, in the museum in my mind, I thought, oh, that would be a nice wall, right? Still available for 8 Tezos, one left. Here's another one. This looks like, you know, LAN. So I assume that's like the wireless here. And here you have like almost one of these old kind of internet diagrams and all the computers. Maybe this is the server. All kind of connected together here. Just really fun and cool work here from Cap'n, also known as Figments. And very productive, very fun, inspiringly productive weekend here. Just putting out some textures, some more textures, texture 2. Here, just another kind of geometric design. Here's another one, verse 2. So really interesting there. Here is our milk. I thought this was another really interesting piece here. Seems to be using more than one kind of, like it seems to be using ASCII or PETSCII, but not just PETSCII. It's using other stuff too. This is not a photo. Interesting, bit of a Magritte feel to it. And yeah, nice color, by the way, and nice subject matter, nice treatment of what looks like an orange tree. And there is our milk signed in the ASCII text. How cool is that? Manidal. So we saw this, but we didn't see it with the music. So I brought up the music. Look how good it looks up big too. I mean, this is a pixel art painting. So just really gorgeous work here from Manidal. And who's the other artist? P with the 1. So P1 doing the music there, of course. Doing great music there. Ace of Pentacles, also by Manidal. And there's the cat in the middle of the 5-starred pentacle. Very cool and everything, or the pentagram, I should say. And there is the cat looking on. Just another addition to the cat tarot. Legends Awaken. So this is Chaz, and this looks like it is referring to Zelda here, as the poster says, and maybe a Zelda character there. And there is a volcano, I think, in the background there. Just another super cool work. Let's see if this sold out. I think it did. Yeah, this is just a great series. Sold out at only 3 Tezos each, edition of 20. So nice work there from Chaz. Pixel Fool. This could be older, I'm not sure, but it's pretty cool. And so here is just work posted on X by Pixel Fool with some cool text here. And this, I believe, is Kyle Flemmer, KF. After many months of training, I've decided to take the next big step in my career. Very proud to announce that I have just accepted an appointment to the prestigious position of junior screensaver artist. So maybe for the screensaver Tez in a couple of weeks. What I found quite interesting about this, it kind of looks like Nintendo Glitch ROM as screensaver. Doesn't it look like that? Pretty interesting. Nifty Monkey. And I don't know a ton of Nifty Monkey's work, but the views are always crazy, like crazy high on Nifty Monkey. So just looking at my mic here and seeing if I wreck some. 80,000 views and like sells for huge amounts of money on Super Rare, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure if this is new or not. It could be an older work, but a way to get more familiar interesting kind of apple in the middle here. Continuing on, let's look at this. So Haiti Rocket Sunshine. Let me just make sure everything is okay here. It is one of those days, so we'll pray that the audio is good. Okay, so look at this. Gorgeous work by Haiti Rocket. Looks like another drawing with the moving algorithm moving through it, and beautiful sea, and even at the end here, nice work. One of one. It's November 26th, so another one of one there. These diskettes also came out, which are pretty cool. I like the red and everything. So here's one edition of 4, and here is the other edition of 1. So cool works here by Haiti Rocket, super prolific. Françoise Gamma, who I discovered, I believe, from Haiti Rocket's collection. And here is another walking figure, probably the most, iconic imagery that Françoise Gamma would be associated with is the walking figure, but this time walking towards us rather than walking across. Walk Sands. And here is Françoise Gamma Next Wave, just a cool work posted on Instagram, and just looking like one cursor, but it tracing, but with several outputs. I mean, that's what it looks like. Some more interesting experimentation. Dave on X, 140,000 views. I tell you, these animated abstracts on X can really go far. Look at this. Kind of almost has a watercolor 1970s print kind of feel to the color there. Gorgeous color. And cool kind of like optical illusion there. Feels. How many? 42,000. Oh, just another cool animated abstract work here. And here's another one, kind of more pixelated, from Most Wrong King, who I also follow. And just another great work here. So lots going on there. Let's see if this one loads up. This is Kiro and Ranixdeer. And so I thought this was great with the pixelation and everything. Look at that gorgeous cube with the orange just color transition here, and just a nice kind of variation on the whole subject. So a kind of new take on the analog video glitch in combination with Ranixdeer's abstracts. Here's another one. Is this who is the collaboration with here? Holomod? Another nice one by Kiro and Holomod. So cool work here. Digging these kind of video abstracts. Santiago, I'm not sure if we looked at this one. We might have, or one that was similar, but thought it was a cool, worth looking at again. So again, kind of more of a pixelated digital, or pixelated feel to it on these ones. But all like vector. And let's see, did we lose our image because we had another Santiago there? Oh, that's unfortunate. So, okay. So there's another Santiago there, that I want to look at. And here's another one. This one I couldn't tell if it was physical or not, but it has more of a physical feeling. So cool work there. Hi. And there is Santiago, if you're wondering. This figure here. Big shout out to Santiago. We'll see if we can find that other. It had a really nice kind of light white background. It was a really nice new abstract there. Dylan with a really cool work here. Nice kind of black border, white writing. This looks great. So another really interesting digital artwork. I'd love to see these made physical. I'd love to see these be made physical. Hammer. And we can almost see a hammer here. Interesting title. 1 of 1, 10 Tezos. Katrina Create. I think this sold out. It did. 15 Tezos. Nice piece. Great piece here. With the woman inside the house here. Just very cool work here. Great texture, great color. Almost that nice chalkboard green. Just fun. Nice place. And Sistaro Memory Number 9. So a new memory. This came out November 14th. I think, actually, maybe we saw this one before because I remember the legs. I think we've seen this one before. Maybe it was just reposted. I remember this and the fuzzy screen. So there it is again. Memory Number 9 by Sebasa Staro. Mo SHIT. Interesting piece here. For whatever reason, I mean, this one just kind of leapt out at me, and just interesting work. Experimental piece here. You got the eyes and just whatever's on this thing with the kind of JPEG'd out flowers. Just interesting. And this is on Zora, and it is a free mint, actually. Rokalort. So mysterious title, too. Continuing on. Excuse me. Continuing on, Die with the Most Likes. I thought this was hilarious. And, of course, I think it was EdgeQ who uses a lot of these, trading card cases. And so here, giving it the meat treatment, the ground beef treatment from Die with the Most Likes. A great piece. Quarto. And this is Pomelo with a 1 of 1 here, and I believe we have some volume. So always cool. Gotta love the little note. I think Pomelo was saying that he tries to make the work to kind of work to make the visual art work with the music. I think the music is the inspiration to a certain degree. So just a really cool series from Pomelo. 1 of 1. Let's just see what happened here. 15 Tezos sold within 2 minutes. Continuing on, Daniel W., The Weeping Gatekeeper. And so another one of these black and white print works. Kind of haunted, isn't it? With these great sort of little lines coming in and out. Nice little noise kind of coming through, almost like a 1920s or 30s film. Really nice. The Weeping Gatekeeper, good title too. Edition of 24 for 5 Tezos. And let's sprint here. A Portrait of a Man Who Doesn't Exist. So another one from this series here. Great concept. And again, I think out of Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. So another artist that likes, I guess, yeah. Who was the other artist that liked horror? Of course, it was Demon Ego. But Demon Ego's out of Turkey, if I'm not mistaken there. A Portrait of a Man Who Doesn't Exist. So very cool work there. Dexter, back on the scene. So that's great. Mr. D, a couple of really nice works here. So kind of interesting. Almost looks like collage on the suit here. Maybe collage and painting. Digital painting, interesting. Nice sunset there too, with almost like this cornfield or something. Here's another one, Invasion. Pretty fun work here too. So kind of ominous as well in the bright daylight. So cool work. Edition of 10, 4 Tezos. Luck will be on the side of those who are willing to move. Interesting. Yuri J with a couple of works, or at least maybe fragments of works posted to X. Yuri J, 2025 will be intense. And here is another one. So I think these are fragments, if I'm not mistaken. And let's look at the, not going to lie, some of you, you're really ready. I will do the best to show the piece next year. So it looks like fragments, previews of a work. And here's Rustic, digital art. I thought this title was hilarious. Dramatic, toxic, narcissistic, in his 30s. Digital oil and digital acrylic on digital white paper using a mouse on a Lenovo notebook. Hilarious. So interesting experimentation here from Rustic Digital Art. Interesting kind of selections here too. Or fills, I should say. Interesting. Wasteman Goldminovich with a couple of poetic works here. Lost. Pretty nice. Pretty interesting. I think the green light is hilarious, actually. Edition of 4. And let's just see what it sold for only 56 Tezos cents. And here's another one, The Failed Artist number 48, Self-Portrait, The Dead Man's Hand Again. So, interestingly, the horse is kind of fuzzed out on the side and with a cigarette in its mouth, if that is a horse. And there is the failed artist with the fries on his head going through the winter landscape. So fascinating, open edition, and they are 1 Tezos each with 43 minutes to go. Shepperton, circuit bending. So let me just make this larger. Interesting kind of, I think that's a glitch technique, circuit bending. It seems to create like a feedback, like a delayed feedback of sorts. So there is one more, and Kenexapta, chromatic dynamics. I think this is another one that we haven't seen. Some more, experimental AI art from Kenexapta. And here's Skamra, with another kind of interesting kind of take on the person at the laptop with some nice kind of rainbow colors. So nice output here, interesting texture. I think someone tagged me on this. This looks right up Pocobelli's alley. Indeed, all of Skamra's work is wonderful to watch here develop. But yeah, nice piece, great color. Here was another one. Oh, this was great too. And again, cool color. An interesting kind of space background here. And like you got the windows on the side, another GM from Skamra. This was nice too. Who is this? Evelyn. Frozen screensavers. So people are getting ready for the screensaver event, I think, on Tez. So cool work there from Evelyn. And who else? We have Danielle King, Still Life with Plants, kind of has a bit of a Matisse feel to it, using M-props, interestingly. And just a nice piece with some nice texture here in the background. And again, very painterly and using M-props, which I still need to use and everything. So looking great over there. And Olya Durdovic. Friends who haven't seen each other for a long time. Maybe we didn't have Paper Doll, or unless this is Paper Doll. Maybe this was a collaborator with Paper Doll. The image that kept me awake for a few days, I'll let my neuropsychiatrist handle that. So interesting moving AI work here. There are a couple. And here we have Mikey Wilson. First GIF in the Blue series, a tribute to one of my favorite musicians, Sturgill Simpson's. So a GIF using AI art from Mikey Wilson. So cool work here. That is on Object. And also White Solitude, ready. Here I am back on my feet again, as you have to be in this business. And there is the fighter ready to get back to it. Beautifully painted. I mean, again, this is AI artwork. And you see these wonderful brush strokes. I don't know how White Solitude does it, but is very good at that painterly style. And of course, I'm sure you recognize who this is, Strange Thing, with another take. The Amazon delivery, almost the Black Friday Strange Thing work with the medieval or Renaissance Italian city in the background on the hill. And there are the drones delivering your Amazon packages and the Amazon delivery guy with the remote control. Super cool. Great. You gotta love this kind of roughness on the side. This weathered sort of look. Very late GM, but GM all the same. Little Cakes with pretty interesting work here. Do we have any information? The Feels, 5. 2 editions available, 8 Tezos. Nice piece. Nice AI artwork by Little Cakes. And here's another one. And I think this is new too. Yeah, loving deity worshipped by the chicken prophets before Jesus attempted a coup. Awesome title and great work here. Just a cool standout work from Little Cakes. AI artwork. And there's more Nickelback. And Nickel Black in this case, from Sabato minted one. And it's pretty cool. Going straight to the vault. For the record, I don't care for their music, but they occupy an interesting place in millennial lore. Yeah, they almost weirdly captured almost like I don't want to call it an archetype, but like a weird kind of, this kind of comes out of the part of Canada that I'm from. So it's like the Canadian prairies. It's got definitely a Canadian prairies feel, even in the landscape here. So anyways, a hilarious series. As we go into the physicals here, and look at this. Bob Chikmatia. We've been looking at his work. What another bold composition here, right? More risky, bold compositions to great effect. And look at the rad. I mean, it's a fire, but it's just brilliantly done. I mean, I don't really have too much to add to that. Here's another one. Will Sweeney, Reversed Hitchhiker, A2, nice size, mixed materials on wood. So there's a ton of amazing physical art coming out. Moto 583, Moto Hero. Maybe we've looked at some of their work before. Almost look like action figures or toys. Here's Tetsuno Rita Waraya with another one of these super interesting drawings. Here is H.Row, and with just another super interesting work here, physical artwork, illustration, prints on Society 6, and there's some volcanoes. And here's another one with these almost like medieval style framing devices. So just super interesting work. Look at this. Look at this gorgeous Anna Higgy. Look at this gorgeous work here. I mean, look at the beautiful violet and neon orange combination with just a super original vase of flowers. I mean, the last few weeks have been pretty stunning on the physical art front. High voltage 12 by 16 oil on board, more just interesting artwork here. Oil on board, Mark Ibrizi. And here is Morteza Kakshur Fruit Feast 2022. So another just kind of interesting original work. Gloom Tube, this was hilarious. L. Ron Hubbard Dianetics in the background here. Maybe that's a scale, or maybe that's measuring the E meter, maybe the energy meter. Of course, who started Scientology. This is like as far as I understand, this is the Bible of Scientology. Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard. Bondoso Bandido, a really cool work documenting sadness. Just really not worrying about making the hand right. There's something that in the looseness and the casualness of it that is just super interesting, that artist. And here's edgy work by Machine with the Dalai Lama kissing, is that Shrek. So very edgy work as usual from Machine. Zwoxo, A View from a Cloud. So this looks like physical. It looks like physical works. Don't know for sure, with some music. Getting the Zwoxo treatment. So interesting piece. I think this is on Object. So very interesting. Edition of 20, it is on Object. And how many are left? 18 left at 3 Tezos each. A View from a Cloud. Look at this. I mean, there's so much Seikudini. And so a beautiful gesture here. Look at that. I mean, stunning. So there's no shortage of amazing art on the blockchain and off. Andrea Adiznin, we looked at her work the other day, and just another kind of really edgy kind of airbrush artist. And that's your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, take care. Oh, man. All right, that's your show.